so helps prepare us there. Look, at this time of the year, you have to account for some of that. We'll see what it ends up being like come game day, and the wind can swirl there, as we know, and it's right off the lake, so we'll see how that affects it. We'll see how the real cold temperatures affect it, but like our focus is strictly on our preparation and getting our game plan ready to go, and then we'll adjust as need be. But that's not really something that you put into a huge part of the factor during the week, and your focus is really on where you need to be and making sure that our guys are in their playbooks and understanding what we're asking them to do and making sure we're ready to go.
Some of the things that Shedeur showed you in this past game to make you believe that he's taking those next steps forward.
Yeah, I think the improvement, you're looking at all your players, all your young players, to see just gradual improvement on the areas that you're focused on. I thought he did a really nice job of moving in the pocket, stepping up in the pocket. He had some opportunities to step up and attack the defense, whether it was throwing the ball on the move. We hit Harold on a good one there in 2 minutes, or climbing in the pocket and finding Jerry on the in cut, or climbing in the pocket and running when it needs be. I thought those are signs of improvement in those areas. I thought operationally we were clean, and that's what you're after with all your players, specifically the young guys, are the things that you're trying to ask them to do, and are the things that you're focused on being accomplished. And credit to him, and credit to Coach Muss for continuing to get him ready to play.
There's one thing that you could pinpoint from the spring to now that you tangibly that you really been improved with Shedeur. What would that one thing be?
Yeah, I think just what I just talked about, really, like the overall improvement of our footwork and our understanding, what footwork applies to what concepts, and our ability to work through progressions. And he's put a lot of work in these last few weeks to get ready to play these games, and you see the steps as he progresses, which is, again, what you're after with your young players, what you're after with all your players is, are they coachable? Are they, applying some of the things that you're trying to ask them to do? And he has shown that. And, obviously he played a nice game for us last week and really made some plays that showed those signs that, he's improving in those areas.
The same answer, but the touchdown to Jerry. You talked about how he's been better seeing a route a second time or whatever. Did you see that as an example of that? And what did you like best about that?
Yeah, we ran that play the first play of our second drive. We hit Harold on an in breaker for like 16 or 17 yards there to our left. It was the same play. We just aligned it a little differently, and they played a different coverage, which would get you to your second or third part of your progression, which is what happened on the second play. And it's always a good thing when you're in the box yelling, but when you're talking about getting to a route and then it happens in that moment, like you and the player are on the same page as you're watching it, and that's what happened on that long play to Jerry, which is, it just shows the the signs of improvement, like our ability to see the coverage, get through a progression, play on time, play within the pocket. The part that should be noted in all those plays where you're getting through them, like our protection was excellent there. And so we were an empty protection, no help on the tackles, and we were able to really stay in the cylinder and deliver a great throw. And then Jerry did the rest for us. But like you said, that was a repeated call in the first half there, and we were able to continue to get through our progression versus a different look.
The second 2-point play, understanding that you guys practice those types of situations in a weekly note to a game, you have certain plays in mind, and you probably go into that drive kind of with that peg in the back of your mind, like, if we score here, we're going to do this play.
Yeah.
Are there ever conversations when you get to that point about doing something different, running a different play? And there's been a lot said just about, like,
if that play works,
so well, and you took
I hear you. Yeah, if that play works, it's a totally different conversation, right? And so, unfortunately, we got to do a better job as coaches to make sure that we can execute in those moments. We have, you have a menu of 2-point plays when you go into a game. We rep those every Friday. It's the very last thing we do against our defense. So it's full speed, full reps. The 2-point plays that we ran in the game were the 2 that we repped on Friday. We had success as we rep them. So, we had confidence in that call. It's one that's been up for probably a month, and we just didn't execute it in the moment when we needed to. And as coaches, you try to, figure out why so that you can get it corrected moving forward. There's a lot of conversations that take place, in those critical moments. We knew early that hey, if we score on this first 2 minutes, we're going for two, being down, in that situation, we were going to go for two. We knew what the first call was. There was a conversation that takes place leading up to the next drive. Hey, this is going to be the call. Let's make sure our guys are prepared for it. And then away we go. Like that's more about the play than any individual. I think like we had confidence in that play. We had confidence in our guys to execute it. And, we got to make sure that we do our job as coaches so that they can. Yeah, I think like it's a really good question. I think as, the 2-point play conversation with it being used more frequently, that menu's increased probably a lot over the last 10 to 12 years. You certainly have low red zone plays that you also kind of tab as these are also backups for 2-pointers if you need to have one. I don't want to go into the specifics on how many we carry, but there is a menu there that get carried over week to week that can be used in those situations, and then there's going to be game plan calls that are used for inside the 5 that can also be used in those situations.
Ask one other thing on that. Is short yardage package different than 2-point package?
It's a really good question. And you don't see, I bet if you studied over the last however many years in the NFL, like the success of running the ball in 2-point plays, it's probably pretty high. Especially like maybe in those non-last play of the games, like the 2-point plays you're trying to get in. Short yardage and 2-minute are like, when you say short yardage, you mean like goal line? Yeah, anywhere in the field. You get different defenses a little bit in the 2-point play than you would in a short yardage in the field. So I would say there's some similarities, but probably not the exact same menu. There might be one that you say, hey, this works in this zone because of the defense you're getting, but doesn't always carry over the same. Yeah, I don't want to get into the specifics on how it should or shouldn't be. I just look at it as, hey, we got to do our job to make sure our players execute the plays when they're called.
So do you think it would have been executed? There was green grass in front of the intended point?
I don't play that, I don't know. I can't foresee the future there. I know they have good players on defense. We have good players on offense. So,
report that you interviewed for the Penn State job. Just what is your feeling on, you kind of wanting to be here or whatever the case may be, or these opportunities that are probably going to come your way?
Yeah, I'm really focused on trying to play good offensive football, get a young quarterback ready to play, support our players. And look, some of those things are flattering and you listen as a competitor, but for me, like my focus is really how can we go score enough points to win a game? How can we put our young players, put our quarterback, put our offense in the right positions to have success, how to lead our staff. Like that's really where my focus is right now.
Michigan job.
What'd you say?
Any interest in the Michigan job?
I'm going to just keep my focus here right now. Yeah.
The first failed 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
What happened on the snap exactly? Do you think it was an issue with Luke coming in there and Ethan being out? And it wasn't like Luke and Shedeur. I mean, I know they worked together when Shedeur was in the backup role.
Yeah, they've worked. We've had plenty of snaps with Luke and Shedeur. They got snaps beforehand. It's a quick hitting play. We got to stay in there and we got to execute the exchange, and not much more to it than that. We got to execute the exchange on a play that's going to hit pretty quickly, and it's about all there is to it.
The week before, the Fannin on the 4th down.
Yeah.
So the commonality there, guys touching the ball are all first-year players. Is that a generalization, or is that the reason for lack of success?
Yeah, I think anytime, you see guys across the league have issues, I don't want to put a blanket statement on it like that. I think our job as coaches is to ask them to do things that they can handle, and then we got to have some ownership on executing those. And look, we're pouring everything we have into our young players right now to make sure that they can execute at a high level. Like the big coaching point for Samp on the one down the stretch there was like, where the ball is, which shoulder we're leading with in relation to which shoulder we're carrying the ball in. Like we try to look at all these things for our young players as opportunities to improve them, to coach them, to get them better moving forward. That's really been our message this week is like, let's look at some of these things that did not execute the way we wanted to. And let's boil it down to what thoughts are we having pre-snap? What's our communication? Fundamentally, is there something in ball security that we can be doing better? instead of just saying, hey, you need to get the snap or you need to take care of the football. Well, why are those happening? Like, what can we coach? What can we improve upon them to make sure that those don't happen moving forward?
You say that with Harold is like ahead of schedule or better than advertised, better than expected. Is that accurate to say?
Probably wouldn't say it that way. I mean, we thought he was pretty good when we drafted him, and yeah, look, the guy's a football player. I mean, he's from the day he came here in rookie mini camp, and you guys were here and you watched him catch however many balls he did in training camp. Like, he's been an impressive rookie. I'll say that. Like, he's come in, he doesn't play like a rookie all the time. I mean, he makes a ton of plays for us. He's competitive. He's tough. He does a lot of stuff in the run game well for us. Like, I mean, he's an impressive young player that CJ's done a really nice job with. The rest of those guys in the room have done a really nice job with. And, he's hit the ground running. I'm excited for him and his future and, the player that he'll continue to be and grow into.
How much you guys put on Ethan's plate, especially the rookie quarterback. So without Ethan, how do you kind of divvy up all the responsibilities?
Yeah, we have a lot of confidence in Whip and where he's at mentally. He's a guy that works really hard at it. He can be annoying if you know Whip. He talks too much, but he's into it and he loves it. And he's even in his backup role, like very similar to how a backup quarterback needs to prepare. It's the same as for a backup center. He's always taking snaps when the ones are going, making the calls. He's always into the protection meetings. He's always into our protection walkthroughs. He's on it. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good fit for what we're asking him to do. I think as you see the quarterback continuing to grow and be comfortable and confident in what we're doing, you can start to put a little bit more there as well. And so you start working together up front. We want our guys to see it through one set of eyes. So we should have all 11 knowing what we're trying to get to in certain calls, but we have a lot of trust in Whip to get those things done.
Goal line and short yards. You haven't had Huntington available the last
Yes, sir.
weeks. Is it fair to say that you've had to expand your menu as a result of that?
Probably doing some different things without his role. Certainly we probably looked a little differently in our short yardage opportunities last week than we did the week before, and we're going to find ways to attack what they do defensively and put our guys in the right spot. Aiden's been a great contributor for us all year, and when he comes back, we'll be excited to have him back.
Shedeur starting the final 4 games of the season for a total of 7. What can you know about a quarterback in a 7-game sample size? Can you know everything that you need to know?
Yeah, we're going to take it one day at a time. I think you learn about quarterbacks in year 5 and year 10 and year 5. Like, I don't think you ever stop learning and evolving with those players. Certainly we're going to pour everything we have into our group right now, and we're going to continue to find ways to improve and find ways to, put emphasis on certain things and continue to get him, ready to play. You've already seen some growth. We're excited to continue to take that one day at a time and continue to see growth take place. And look, at the end of the year, we'll evaluate it, and we'll continue to move forward in our focus on improvement of our players.
Bears defense, kind of what stands out, and specifically in their run defense, I guess, what kind of challenges does that present?
Yeah, they've done a great job all year of taking the ball away. I mean, I believe they lead the NFL in takeaways. 2 of their DBs, I think between the 2 of them, 10 or 11 interceptions. They've done a really nice job of taking it away. They play well within the scheme. They try to get you in minus situations. They have a really good pressure package that I think they lead the league in 3rd and 7 to 10 percentage, and they're pretty complex there. So, Coach Allen does a great job, well respected, obviously, and they have really good personnel at all 3 levels. 98's a great player up front. They have some size inside, which, can cause some issues in the run game. And then, 31, 26, they've taken the ball away at a high clip. So they present a lot of challenges that way as well.
Like the turnovers, Shedeur sort of talked about his interception from this past weekend, and how it was just him kind of feeling like the offense was kind of stuck trying to make a play. Just what was the conversation like with him, sort of teaching off of that?
Yeah,
sort of
he had made, one of the things that we had talked about throughout the entire game is like he was making great decisions, right? When to scramble, when to step up, when to throw it away, when to play the play as it's intended to be played. Like, just continue to make those great decisions, right? Like, don't get bored with making the right decision. We had hit a good chunk there to Harold 3 plays before. Then we come right back to a run. We get called for a holding. Now we're 1st and 20. we're incomplete on 1st and 20. Now we're 2nd and 20 and don't feel like we need to press. Let's just get half of it back. We're kind of right there on the fringe of field goal range. So like all of those situations that come up in a game, you know, they're learning opportunities for him. Like, hey, if we get half this back, we're back in a scoring position or 3rd and manageable to continue the drive going. We don't need to get it all back at once. Just continue to make the right decisions. Let the game come to you, and you'll know when the plays are there to be made, and you'll know when to make the right decision and you know, find the outlet. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, there we go. We just had OC Tommy Rees, play caller now for the Cleveland Browns. I like when Tommy Rees gets up there and gets interviewed versus the head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Rees keeps it real. He's direct. He's more detailed in his responses. I put in the chat there how Tommy Rees he interviewed for the Penn State job, the opening. He also interviewed for the UCLA job, but the UCLA job they hired the coach last week. I don't know the gentleman's name off the top of my head. Me personally, I'm glad that Tommy Rees is still with the Browns organization because the play calling has been horrific when Kevin Stefanski has been totally in charge of it. I feel that with Tommy Rees coming from the college ranks, he's more relatable to not only ShedeurSanders, Dylan Gabriel, but the rest of that young rookie crew there in Cleveland. They have the #1 draft class, the Cleveland Browns. All their 13 rookies are balling, and they're actually all of them starting also. So they have a very young crew. They're getting a lot of development. We're getting actual playing time this year. You know, the Browns will be a lot better next year. We'll see what happens for us that follow ShedeurSanders or those Cleveland Browns faithful. I really admire all the Cleveland Browns faithful because y'all been enduring some football misery for a very long time. You know, there's all kind of narratives out there that Stefanski's going to get fired, Barry may get fired, or both of them getting fired, or is Barry going to stay, or whatever the case may be. There's all kind of fake AI stories out there about John Gruden. Don't believe any of those. Those are AI generated. But we just have to wait and see how it goes. I'm Double P, Prentice Premier, Randy Prentice, host of Premier Sports Talk. If you could do me a favor, just hit that thumbs up button. That doesn't cost anybody a thing. It helps push the live feed out. I was so grateful that I was able to position myself to catch that interview live. So y'all got it hot off the presser, hot. This is real time. It's actually happening. That real time. It's 11:20 a.m. on this Thursday morning. We just got the real hot live feed. Thank you all for supporting the channel. You know, just hit over 3,500 subscribers on the path to 4,000 subscribers. Thank you all for blessing the channel. If there's anybody else that likes sports, tell a friend, share with a family member. Just share that link. All you got to do is hit that link. Share the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for supporting the channel and bless the Premier Sports. And may you all receive blessings this holiday season. And most importantly, be a blessing to somebody else whose path you cross. Again, that was Tommy Rees speaking direct detail and how impressed he was with not only the tight end, Harold Fanning Jr., but ShedeurSanders and how he's coming along with his ascension in this game. There's one thought I want to give y'all is that both Harold Fanning Jr., the tight end, both him and ShedeurSanders was up for NFL Rookie of the Week. The voting ended at 11 o'clock a couple minutes ago. So we'll see sometime today. It should come out definitely prior to 6 p.m. who won the NFL Rookie of the Week. You know, ShedeurSanders said, you know, if you haven't heard him say it, come out his own mouth in any of the interviews. He stated that he ain't out to prove anybody wrong. He's here to prove himself right, that he belongs in the NFL and to be a franchise starting quarterback. Again, thank you for blessing Premier Sports Talk, and I'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care.